here's what we're making today. Kia ora e te whānau. So what I want to do in our Come Make a Ring Bound with me, I like to put a little bit of writing space, and there's a couple of different ways that I do it. The first is to make a little booklet. So I will I have scanned this because I've checked its copyright. It's a antique, might be very early 1900s, but very close to antique if not. That will be in the folder in the digital pack under week part 9. I have selected, there was one gel print that I did from part 1 that I did double-sided, and it was for this reason, to make the covers for this little booklet. And then I haven't got coffee dyed paper in there. I'm sure coffee or tea dyed, you can do some of that at home. You could either dip it in a coffee tea bath, or you could just paint it on with a paintbrush. I haven't done that because I've tried scanning it before and it wasn't very successful. Even the lightest tones just come up white, and it doesn't look anything like tea dyed paper. I have some of my hand dyed papers in there as well, and although you've got all those, I will try and track down the ones that I've actually used and put those into the part 9 folder. So it was only one sheet of that, and 2 sheets of coffee dyed paper, and I have inked right around the edges, as you can see. So what I did is this was an A4. I sliced it in half first, and then there is a little bit of trimming I did. You don't have to do the little booklet. You could keep it A5 if you want. I like the miniature size. It creates another layer in the journal. So that one is about, and I mean, you can see I haven't even done it perfectly, but it's about 5 7/8 of an inch, or about 15 centimeters wide. So there's half your A4, and we're about 6 1/4, just under 6 1/4 inches high, or 15.7 centimeters. And I have just corner punched my edges, and I have inked around all the edges. Again, you do not have to ink around all the edges. So the papers inside, as you'll see, are just slightly shorter. That's because I will bring them up so that they don't go quite all the way to the edge of the booklet. And then I covered so I got 240 GSM card. I covered it just with a glue stick and put that dictionary page on there, and then I just cut the part that had the bird on it. So I'll try and locate that exact same one for you, if that's one that I scanned. And then we're just going to pop that onto there like that. And I wanted a little bit of texture on the front of here, and then it's got its rings through there and there, which will hold it into the book nicely. And I want to do a wraparound magnet clip as well, and I might, so that the magnet clip can sit there, I might end up pushing this slightly onto that border there, so that the wraparound just fastens there. We'll see how we go. How I made that, I just used my template, which I will hold up with the measurements. It is in part 2 of the series as well, if you want more explanation than that. And then I have all of these little offcuts of my gel prints that, like that one, I have just punched so that it's going to be a cute little tag, and on a probably the next video we will make some pockets and bits and pieces just to make the inside of this a little bit more interesting, but I do want to leave the majority of it with writing space, so there might be 3 pockets in there and maybe a little bit of like ink splatters or coffee rings, just to give each page a little bit of interest, but so there's plenty of room to write. So what we do next is I'm just going to glue that first one onto there. Now that is temporary because I am going to sew through there. You probably won't have to, but because this is on, unless you've made your own gel prints, because this is acrylic paint, I don't always trust glues to hold acrylic paint. So now the reason why I have just put that on and why I'm going to put this on first is because I want to get my paper creaser and put a crease down there so that you can actually open, because this booklet is no longer, it's not going to open like that, it's going to open like that. Does that make sense? So I'm just going to glue this one on as well the exact same way. Then I'm going to line these 2 edges up. And I'm going to bring that down. That is the easiest way to do it, so that you get your page, your front and back cover to line up. Sorry guys, I'm having a terrible time filming today. This part cut out and I didn't film it, but I'm just going to score along the line so that that folds back as I showed you in the last little piece, so that that front cover can fold back nice and neatly without interfering with the little binding that we've got on the left hand side. Technical difficulties, oh my goodness. So I've lost a part of the footage, but all I have done is I have run a little bit of glue down the inside. So for example, if this was the back now, I've just run a little bit of glue down there and I've grabbed a page and I have just put it there. Then I've put another piece of glue on that page, grabbed another page, put it on top. You could skip this step. You could just stack the papers together, put a bulldog clip, close it up and sew down. But I like to put a layer of glue between each of these pages just to make sure that they all catch, because if it slips or anything when I'm doing my sewing, it's likely they're going to fall out. The other thing is, as you sew paper, if it's in something like this, it's almost a perforation, so they could easily tear out. So that's how I did that one. And now what I want to do is I want to glue all of this, close that up, and I just want to secure that with a few bulldog clips or something, just to make sure that it's touching the back and front of this binding as close as it can to there, rather than opening up like that. I don't know if you can see it, but okay, so okay, so now I'm just going to take this to my sewing machine, and I know there's only about a 1/4 of an inch or a 2mm gap, 1/8 of an inch, sorry, very tiny in here, and I'm just going to stitch as close to this join as possible. Reasonable long stitch, so again I don't get too close together, the perforation effect, so probably I'll do about a 2.5 to a 3 stitch length, and that's just going to make sure that everything is held nice and securely in there. So I'm just going to go do that and I'll be back. Okay, so I have just sewn down there, and then all I do is gently fold these pages into place, just so that when someone takes the book out and uses it, the pages turn nicely. And then the next part we have to do is our clasp. I often bend back that way as well, just to get a bit of a fold, especially just on the last 2 or 3 pages. Okay, so now we have a book that opens up nicely. Hopefully that's something that you haven't quite seen the construction of before. So I've just taken 6 centimeters of that, and 6 centimeters, 2 6/8 of an inch, and then I have just cut them into 2, so they're both half of that, so 3 centimeters in width each. I've left them quite long for now, and then I've just obviously inked the edges, and I didn't want to hand cut those because they need to match. Okay, now the best thing to do, I'm going to be using, you could use any magnets at all. You could use little Velcro dots to fasten this so that it stays closed. These, I believe, are called magnetic button clasps. I will pop that in the description. And I just got a little set. Unfortunately, I'm running out of the colour I like using most. And they just come with these little discs, because these little discs go on the opposite side to help strengthen. So all we need to do is I just straighten those out and pull them apart. Now I do like to have this one on the strap and the thicker one on the book. Personal preference. There's absolutely no reason for me wanting to do that though. And then these are great because wherever you would like to put the little magnet, you can so where's our doily? So if our doily's about there, we probably want that about there, and then you can just colour those little bits in, and then you know where to cut. And I just hold this back that way, and I just do a little slice out by eye. And then the next part is pretty simple. So you get the thicker bit, and you put those little prongs through that hole, and you pop that on the back, and then you just need a pair of pliers or a screwdriver, and you just push these back this way in opposite directions, and I just push them as flat as I can get them. And then I've just got I'll show you when I do it, but I've just got a little circle punch, and I'll just punch a little circle and I'll stick it over there so that that can't be seen. So there's that one on there, and now we need to decide. So I just leave that long for now. We can cut it when we need to. This is the harder one to do. This is where you've got to figure out. You've got a little bit of faffing around. You don't want it too close to the edge. But this is why you don't stick it on there first. And you'll see why. So remember, we've got to push those prongs back, so we don't want it too close to the edge. We want it kind of centered. Colour those guys in. Now this one is going to be the underneath, meaning that you need to put it through this way, because the other one that we've got is then going to be gluing and or sewed onto the top so that that can't be seen. So once again, just flatten those out. Then I'm going to glue those on top of each other. Just going to leave that pinch together for a little while until I'm satisfied that that's dried. Okay, so that's nice and dry. So what we want to do now is we want to pop that guy in place, and you could just fold this, but I like to have two folds just to create a little bit of an ease for the wraparound, because the contents of that little booklet are reasonably thick. They'd be at least 1 millimetre. So all we need to do is line her up, make sure she's as straight as possible, and we don't want to go right on this line, so I probably want to go through that line there of text, and then I just want to go just through that one there. And hopefully, I know this paper's a little bit brittle, but that doesn't worry me that much. So then we've got one fold and two folds there. I quite like it when it splits a little bit like it has on here. Just adds to the age of it. Quick little ink, so it looks like it's been like that forever. That is sitting up just a little bit, so we could have made that bend a little bit. I wonder if I can still do it. So we really want this thickness to probably be at least the width of that plus a little bit for the actual book. So if we bend that there, and then that should do what it was doing before less. There you go. So now that's not sitting up too much. A little bit of room there. Now what I want to do is I want to make this into a belly band so I can actually pop a postcard or something behind it. So it looks like I'm going to have to cut pretty much exactly, now that I know where to cut, at the bottom of that text there. Through here, and I'm going to want to cut that black pen off. There you go. So I am only going to glue here and here so that I've still got a little belly band. And yes, I might need to sew through just because, again, this is the original gel plate, so it's acrylic paint, and I'm not entirely faithful that this glue will hold. Just need to get it so that it looks straight. Okay, there we go. And then we've just got a little space to put a postcard or a piece of paper in the back there as well, so that it's not a nothing spot. And while that is sitting there drying a little bit, I want to glue on my doily. And because that sits over it, it looks like it's going to sit just nicely. You could put anything on here. It doesn't have to be a doily if you don't have one. It could be a nice picture like the bird one that we did in the last series out of a magazine just for the cover. You might want to put a pocket on there. You can take that and do whatever you like with it. So I'm just going to glue all the solid bits that I can. I don't usually glue the whole thing because I don't want it to come through those little holes. I'm not going to hold you here while I do that. I'm just going to glue it, and then I'm going to pop it on, and that's going to be me when I come back. Okay, and lucky last for today, you could put something on there if you want to, and a little button. I haven't decided to yet, but I might have a think about it, and when we come back to do a little bit of decorating, I might decide what I want to put there. And I'm just going to cover that up. Out of the leftover from the dictionary page, I do have a little bit of card on that because it did have card on it. You wouldn't necessarily need to, and I think that's going to make this a little bit trickier to glue on, to be fair. But I am just going to pop that guy and pop some clips on them. Okay, the last thing we need to do is just pop on our eyelets in the right way. Won't show you how to do those. I'm literally just going to put the little rings on and put it in my crocodile. There we go. Got our little booklet all ready to decorate. Hope that's something that you enjoy seeing, and it wouldn't matter which page it goes over. It's going to look super cute in there, and that's why I just like the shorter version, just so that you've got a peek of the next page up over the top. And this one is a little bit more neutral, with a little less of the olive green on the outside. It's just got a touch in that gel print, just so that it's really versatile and it can go with any page and it won't clash or be the wrong colour or the wrong tone of olive. Quite like it on that one, and I quite like it on that one. Okay, so there we go. Next time we will be decorating the inside, maybe putting a tab on and maybe putting something on the top of that guy. Might just be one of those little, I wonder if I've got one here, maybe just one of those. I might just pop that on there, something like that, or a button or something. Okay, Well, I hope you enjoyed that. I love that you spend time with me. Thank you very, very much. And until next time, my lovelies, thank you for being with me. Mā te wā.